final executive session. Can start with public comment. Is anyone in the room?
Nope. No.
No. Anyone online other than myself?
No.
No. Okay, we can close public comment. We can move on to the next agenda item, which is a review of Saturday, March 23rd incident. And I'll just start with a couple brief comments. I've already issued two statements, but before we get into this, I just wanted to comment again and thank the entire library team from leadership on down. It really showed a great deal of professionalism, dedication, heart, courage, but also training in what happened that particular day. I've always been very impressed with the entire library and the staff, and it really showed out how well things were executed in under such strenuous and stressful conditions. I was very close to the library on the morning when I got the first alert. I believe I was able to get here by 9:45 or so, and the staff had already congregated outside, got in the building quickly and safely, evacuated, and informed authorities. I mean, it was very, very fast. Everyone was calm and professional on working with that under the conditions. I want to single out Michelle for just truly going above and beyond, working, keeping in touch with the team, keeping in touch with the police, clearing the building with the bomb squad. Just not something that I think most people would rise to the occasion to do. And I really respect and commend the work that was done that day. I also just want to give a shout out to the entire staff for their decisions independently as to, once the building was cleared, to reopen. And it showed not only the courage, but the dedication to the mission and the vision of the library. And no one should work under the threat of violence anywhere, particularly in such an open space. No one should be allowed to curtail or silence those they don't agree with. And again, I just have so much respect for the work that was done and how well that weekend was executed, and the commitment and care shown by people who showed up on their day off, the commitment and care showed by those who were staffing on Sunday and the days after from the meetings, and finally the work done to quickly throw together the wonderful Pride event by the library staff, including Albert, that really showed what the community was about and what we can move for. So I know there's going to be a report, but I just wanted to, again, state publicly my thanks and admiration.
We didn't really have a report. We just wanted to put this on here in case anybody else on the board wanted to discuss it. And I knew Pat had a few comments. So is there anything else?
I just wanted to mention that Andrea gave me a little note, which I've passed along here. Hopefully everybody can read it, from the staff to the trustees.
I echo everything Pat said. It was amazing how the staff handled it. And Michelle, you weren't even here, and you got here as quickly as you could. And I mean, it's just amazing. And also thank you to public safety, to our police and our fire for their response and supporting this, supporting the library in its time of need. And that was much appreciated as well. Thank you.
Unless there's anything else, I think what I'll add to that is, and I did put a little bit of this, I won't go over it in the director's report portion, but I wanted to reiterate that the event that we had on Tuesday, April 2nd was intentionally out of the Office of Equity. It wasn't meant to be a library-led thing. It was very important, and we had very specific discussions about this. Was not about defending the library, or which would be admirable. This was about a direct community response, a direct response to the LGBTQ, to our queer community, to make sure that that it's clear that not just the library, but the entire community, there's a space of belonging and there's space of welcome, and that this is, so we want to be very clear about that. Sometimes we put the library logo over, sometimes it's, we do think about those things, and it was very, very important that that be led by sort of more of a universal town ethos than just, oh, here's the library doing one more thing. And I really appreciate, having said that, it was mostly library driven in terms of getting all the coordinating things. And of course, that's one of the reasons we have a great team that can pull together pretty large events like that. So, but yeah, so I just wanted to point that out, but everybody did a great job. And even at that rally, we had public safety, we had a senior leadership from the town there as well, trustees, select board members, town manager, director of operation. We had all sorts of people there. So I just really appreciate that as a community effort, really trying to pull together. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think it was a wonderful turnout. I mean, you had a cold, slightly rainy day, you had witching hour for little ones. And it was really a very strong turnout and you said, it's a strong community response to members of our community that all are welcome. Does anyone have any other questions or follow-ups regarding the incident, the aftermath, follow-up, Pride story time, Rainbow story time?
Is it still under investigation, or have they closed the investigation?
We have not received any update one way or the other from the citizens, but.
Okay, if there's nothing further, we can move on to the next action item, which is the internet use policy.
Again, we discussed this back in March. We had some minor edits to this particular policy. Just didn't, it needed a little bit of tweaking. This is the revised version. And I think it was noted in the minutes from last month that this was really just streamlining the language, being more assertive and clarifying some specific points. So you'll see the changes on this primarily are formatting. The first copy is a red line version, and then the second copy is the full policy for your consideration and vote. There's any questions or discussion points?
We had mentioned last time about library property, the parking lot, the red line there. Just refresh my memory if that includes or does not include the parking lot.
We just said library yes, it does include parking lot.
Okay.
Or it includes wherever the Wi-Fi ends up going to. On a cloudy day, it could be different than a sunny day.
Motion to accept the internet access policy as written in today's packet.
Second.
It's been second. Does anyone have any other questions or comments before we do a roll call vote? Hearing none. We've got a motion before us and we can vote. Monette?
Yes.
Mr. Grimes?
Yes.
Next, Mr. Gregory.
Yes.
Mr. Cap.
Yes.
Ms. Dubois.
Yes.
And I am a yes. Carries 6-0. Now we can move to the safe child policy.
Yes, so this is actually quite it's a little bit even more of a change. We had changed it, and after much discussion with Olivia McElwain, our senior children's librarian, and Andrea Fiorillo, the head of public services. The first thing was the decision to take the term safe child out of it because we are not actually guaranteeing anybody's safety. And it is not just for a child, this is also for young people who might be considered tweens or teens. So we felt this was really more of a responsibility. So we added rights and responsibilities. So it's somewhat parallel to our other behavioral policy, but it's specifically regarding minors. Some of the language you'll see is the same. Strive to create a warm environment. We added the ages. This particular one, based on our discussion last time, we talked about the difference between doing things by age and doing things by grade. We chose to do this one all by age because that ends up doing a minor, as someone under the age of 18, basically. We offer these programs, and we gave a nod to the larger patron rights and responsibility, which is also about like not breaking the law and our general behaviorals, but this one is specific. And basically the purpose is to make sure that parents and caregivers understand that they are solely responsible for the behavior and safety of the minors. And they are responsible for appropriate, materials or services programs. And within that, we decided there was definitely something about unattended children. Clearly stating at the beginning, staff are not responsible. Then going into the children under the age of 10, this was the first change that we had looked at last time, which was originally that number was 9. We're upping it to 10 because of our tween programming. We're getting sort of rid of grades. And then we also took out something about ages and being here for 2 hours. We talked a lot about this. Our staff are not going to be like, what time did you come in? How old are you? Has it been 2 hours? The idea is that if there's a behavioral issue, we're going to go back to the fact that it's a behavioral issue and that needs to be addressed. Whether or not they're under 10 at that point will come up next. But in general, this is for the parents to know that if your child is under 10, they must be accompanied by somebody, a caregiver who is at least 14 years of age, and that means they must be on the same floor. So that just kind of simplified something that was originally about 5 or 6 bullet points down to 2. So that was specifically about unattended children. And then the general statements, which are very few, are about emergencies, about getting home or transportation, about calling public safety in the event of an issue. So that a large part of that has to do with liability, making sure our staff are not liability and that there are people that are trusted with this are called. And again, about transportation. And then the final piece is about the appropriate use of youth spaces. This is where we had it sort of through grades, and now we've changed it to ages so that it aligns. That is the summary for a whole lot of lines and colors and things like that. We went over it. We gave it a rest. We went back to it through everybody's various time off. Olivia's had time off. I had time off. Andrea was away for a little bit. And we feel very confident in this new version, but of course, welcome to questions, suggestions, or changes from the board.
Just a minor one, under unattended children in that section 1 and 2, you use the number 10, and under general 1, you spell it out and
Okay.
standardize.
Yep.
Minor.
We can make that. Do you think it's better to do TEN parentheses 10? No, just 10, TEN. We'll change all.
I think you should use the numbers.
Okay, so we'll do that. We'll do that down. And
Whole digit, you
People-
can use double, you can use the
People
number.
will they'll recognize it first,
yeah.
before the word,
Yeah.
I think.
So we're saying use the words.
No, I'm saying use the number.
Okay, so we will use the numbers in all locations. Okay.
Stylistically, I mean, you can use the numbers from 10 and up, but I think in this case, it's using the number is better because people will notice it. And you want them to see the number 10 and to know that that means the age of their kid, rather than looking for the word 10.
Okay.
Because it never stands out because everything else is words.
Okay.
I'll table in the first sentence under unattended children
Yes.
says are not responsible for supervising.
And are not responsible for supervising. There's an, okay, gotcha. Or supervising unattended. Yep.
I think I'm struggling with the title a little bit.
And that was definitely, it just could be responsibilities regarding minors or policy regarding minors.
Are we defining the rights
Yeah, I don't see rights.
of a minor?
It could be responsibility. We just literally, it was just,
Even the responsibilities of the minor, because it's the responsibilities of the adult who's responsible for the minor.
well, that's what it's regarding, not for, by. But yes, I agree. We're happy to come up with, we spent so much time on, we just realized at the end of it that Safe Child probably didn't really cover it.
Yeah, and I get that.
We should probably have a different title.
Yeah, I like that.
And it just could be policy regarding minors.
I think it could be just responsibilities regarding minors.
Responsibilities regarding minors.
We just rewrite it.
Yeah.
Responsibilities regarding minors.
One thing, in the last line under the purpose, it says that those who violate this policy risk having their library privileges restricted or revoked.
That is usually at the end, actually, now that you say,
At the end of the purpose,
that's not the purpose, but that should be down actually at the bottom. After appropriate use of spaces, it should probably be something like,
right now it's in the second paragraph of the purpose.
I know,
The thing that they would be violating is the
Unattended children.
behavior, I guess. Parents and caregivers are responsible for behavior and safety of minors.
I know what you're saying, which is, is it really the purpose, or should it just be, I mean,
Can we just take that one sentence and put it at the end as a standalone sentence below the children's restroom line? Just give us one.
sure. I
blank.
mean, do you want to take the whole paragraph, or the whole paragraph, or just the last sentence, those?
I'm okay with the first sentence of that
Yeah,
paragraph.
the first sentence seems
Second one
fine, but
is-
it's just the second.
Okay. I do believe in most of our other policies, it ends with basically, thanks for reading this. If you mess up, then,
Yep.
yeah, we may ask you to leave. I think that's true. Thanks for catching that.
Well done on this, considering where we were last time.
Andrea listens really well. Did you have any questions?
No questions. I think we also need a period after the first, between the first two paragraphs under purpose.
It's in the, I noticed that, it's in the editing part, but if you go down to the, where they take out all the edits, the period is there. Are you talking after minors?
Merged copy, yeah.
It's here,
It's there,
It's
but
here.
it's not in the one at the top.
Got it. Yeah. All right. Any other comments or questions on this?
Yeah, under general, number 4, library staff members will not transport minors or any individual. I understand the point, but this policy is all about minors.
Sure.
So I don't think we want or any individual here.
Okay. We will strike that.
Disagree?
No,
Oh, okay.
I was nodding.
And one of the things you had mentioned last time that stuck with me is that there's been times that staff has left and there is someone, a minor, waiting for a ride. And you check in with them,
Assume is in mind, yes.
who you presume is, and so you check in with them and they say, I have, my ride's coming, I've been in touch, blah, blah, blah. Is that something we should call out? Like that staff is also not responsible for waiting with minors after hours? Has that ever?
Like add that to number 2, library staff will not wait with minors.
It kind of goes with the, under 5, all minors must be picked up or transportation arranged before the library closes, and then you could add something about staff will not wait or something.
I'm not sure you have to. I more wanted to ask your opinion and talk that out a little bit. Has that ever become an issue where,
Yeah,
yeah,
not often.
Not often, my sense, and let me tell you, I'm here way less than 9 o'clock than I used to be. In the past, it was really more of an issue for the staff.
that the staff felt so bad?
Yes.
Right.
So that having something in here saying staff will not wait, staff.
I see what you're saying.
It's right. So my question is that more of a procedure?
Yeah.
And that we say, look, we're not waiting. It's policy or no policy. We're not waiting. I am telling you, you need to leave. Even if that's in there as a policy, does that mean that there's not going to be a staff member that's going to hang out? There may be a staff member that hangs out. I think that was part of the reason why we decided to kind of leave it at just, it really is your responsibility. And again, you could persuade me on either side of any of these.
Has there ever been a parent or a caregiver who has called the library the next day and said,
Not to my knowledge.
okay, so people understand that then?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Leave it at library staff have no obligation to remain with minors.
Interesting. I like that. So, and under that particular bullet to add,
I think it fits with that bullet. Yeah.
so I think that ends up in the renumbered one. I think that ends up being number 2. All minors must be picked up or have transportation arranged before the library closes, period. Library staff have no obligation to remain with these
With minors if
minors after hours,
not here at time of library closing.
time of library closing. And Megan's going to listen to that 5 times. So you get it right.
I have a question about last sentence, appropriate use of youth spaces about the restroom. It just says exclusive use of children. Do you need to explain what children are? Just because unattended children, it's children under the age of 10.
Yeah.
Child spaces are children, and you talk about teen spaces as youth.
Actually, one of the easier ways to do it would be children's restroom is for the exclusive use of those using the space. Because we've just defined who should be using the space, right?
Oh, good point.
Those appropriately using the space. I see what you're saying. Yes, you're like it's 0 to 10.
Just because those tend to be triggering.
I know, it really does.
Someone who's using the space also includes someone who is looking through the collection.
Correct. And they may not be with a minor, but they may be adequately, we're not going to ask the teacher to go back downstairs and then come back upstairs. So I think people using the space, to appropriately using the space. Two great comments. Helpful.
So will we wait for the revision for next month, or
You, if you feel,
how do you guys feel?
I would consider these all friendly amendments, but it's up to you. If you want to see the whole thing, we can wait one more month.
I mean, doesn't matter to me. I would think that Megan takes great notes, so there's nothing to worry about.
You could make a motion. You could take a gamble and make a motion.
Good. Would we accept the policy as amended?
Second.
We have a seconded motion. Does anyone have any other questions or commentary?
There's one tiny little thing in the second to last sentence. We sort of say Reading Public Library staff, whereas everywhere else we just say library staff.
Yes. Thank you for consistency.
Just a consistency thing.
This is what happens when you copy and paste for like 5 or 6.
Anything further? Do we need a new motion?
I was just going to ask, do we need a new motion now?
I think it's a friendly amendment.
That was a friendly
I
amendment.
move that we accept the amendments that were made before and the amendment that was made recently.
I will second.
Any other comment or question? Hearing none, roll call vote. Monette,
Yes.
Andrew Grimes,
Yes.
Andrew Gregory,
Yes.
Happy,
Yes.
and Jerry.
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. The policy as amended and amended, so passed.
Thank you.
Okay, now we move on to item 6, which is the financial report.
Okay. I usually give you sort of a mid-year supplemental spending review. It's a little more like a quarter three supplemental spending review. We are pretty on target for everything we said we were going to spend. Not too many surprises this year. One thing was, it's really great is reviewing the minutes makes me realize all the things I said for sure that we were going to do now that we're for sure not going to do them because a lot happens in 30 days. We have continued to work on our researching how we're going to update our library website. And we have also been continuing to work on with IT about our community and conference room upgrades. Both of those things originally had sort of been penciled in for FY25. I think there's a reason to consider, for various reasons, locking those in to FY24. The monies would be encumbered this year, but actually paid for in FY25. This is supplemental spending, so it has nothing to do with the municipal budget. We don't lose money or earn money, except to say that we have received some proposals that are good for 30 days. And if we lock in the prices, both of these are very good. So I'll just review them both quickly. Last time we spoke, I mentioned using Civic Plus, which is the platform that the town uses. Unfortunately, we hit a snag with that, and it has to do with some features that we think are mandatory, but that would be extremely costly for Civic Plus to do. Basically, it was going to cost an additional $4,100 on top of the $3,000 per year, plus everything else that we would have to do to integrate it. And so we felt that the issue was something that we were not really ready to say no to. There was not something that we could say, sure, we can make do without this. It was a feature that we just really feel very strongly about. So we went back to the drawing board, and Michelle had been at Computers and Libraries. She met with a lot of technology companies down there in Alexandria, Virginia. And actually, we heard back from some Andrea and Kath Jeffress-Cannell, who are both at PLA. So we have been working with a company called Communico. They will do a new design, understanding that we still want the most basic design. One of the things that we find ourselves getting constantly frustrated with are bells and whistles, because the more pieces and things there are and plugins and the more things that...
Things still going to be WordPress based?
No.
Okay.
It's something called, I think it's called Create. It is a platform. Civic Plus has its own platform too, but it is like a drag and drop, kind of like object-oriented, advanced, sort of like maybe Wix or something like that. And it does limit us, and not limit us, but we're only going to apply certain things to this. So they will help us with that design, and then they will also host. They will also host the website. The one thing that was really interesting about them is they also have an app software. So our app software, which renews every year, we have been somewhat fairly happy with, but not ecstatic with, particularly for the price point that we're paying, because it's expensive to maintain an app. It has to go through every time, Apple has an iOS update, every time Android does something. So we pay for that. So this software actually integrates that, meaning it takes the app and it integrates with the website. They're meant to be together. And they sell a different product as well, which comes all bundled together, called Attend and Reserve, which is the equivalent to our LibCal. So it would put all of these things together so that from the app or from the website, it would be seamless. Wilmington uses it. They've given us a bunch of other websites, a bunch of other communities, very small and very large, that use their platform. We're very impressed with it. Michelle is looking into the Attend, it's called, that's for registering for events, and then Reserve, which is for reservations. So we use our LibCal for. All told, the calculations would still be just about the net same that we would be paying for LibCal, the app, and the website. Now we're just doing under one bundle. It's not per se a cost savings, but it is, we think it will be a this is all predicated on everything goes well with our attend and reserve demo, right?
Right, yep.
Right, yeah, so we have to make sure that last piece fits. But if we can, we have a quote that we will be able to lock in a set price for 3 years, which is the maximum we can enter into for our contract as a municipal organization. So we
You
would,
get all the pieces that they promote on their website, like exchange, attend, reserve, schedule, broadcast, does all come as part of this, or are those pieces you have to?
we get one thing that's extra. There's a couple things that come extra. I could break it down for you. Do you have the?
One thing they just launched
Oh, yeah.
at PLA, I can't remember what the name of it is not part of it. And it's the Library of Things module. So that would be separate, but everything else would be together.
You're right. They have a lot of modules and,
Kiosks.
yes. And so the package would include, when system works. Product, they have a product called Exchange. It's not Microsoft Exchange. Control, the
Do you
community,
get access to all those plugins, or are those separately?
attend, reserve,
Like
connect.
in exchange, they list like Facebook, Zoom, Polaris.
Yes.
blah, blah, blah,
Well, in our case, it would be Evergreen, not Polaris, but yes.
and all that.
Yeah, so all of that is integrated and they've done that. And we get either, we can do appointment scheduling management, which I'm not sure we do, or broadcast and digital signage module, which would be the equivalent of a bright sign. So again, the nice thing about that is it would ball it all together. We would look at both of those. So they have a set fee for all of those things per year, plus the design, a one-time design fee. And I'm sure there are other things, like if we get in there and we're like, oh, we do really want the,
What is their, did they give you any SLAs for uptime on this? Like,
yes, 3 months,
remember,
3
yeah.
to 6 months, yeah.
and
It
then,
was pretty reasonable because because of the format, they're basically taking care of the top and the bottom, right, the header and the footer. And then the internal structure is up to us. We would probably pick 3 templates or 4 templates for documents. We figure on stripping probably at least 50% of what we have.
Yeah.
We have too much content right now.
Too much content on our website right now?
We duplicate.
how is that content going to get ported?
They do everything.
Oh,
They bring everything over. They said they've converted WordPress sites before.
So you said Wilmington uses them now.
They do, yes. They use the app and they use their meeting room software. Yep.
And did they port over from WordPress?
I don't know where they
came
ported over from,
No.
but it was something else.
I'm waiting to hear back from Wilmington to see
Yeah.
how they like it.
So we don't know that yet, whether they like it or not.
No.
I would ask Communico too, I would say, that you specifically want a reference of someone who's ported over from WordPress,
Great.
That's a really
great
good
idea.
idea.
just to understand what the experience is going to be.
Yep.
Because they're going to say, of course, that it's going to be simple and easy and it'll go seamless and we'll give you a dedicated resource who's going to be on site to help with this, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You might want to ask, find someone who has a similar situation, just so you know what you're really,
Yep.
not that it's going to change the ultimate decision, but it may help better set
The
expectations,
expectations, I agree.
Yes.
how challenging it's going to be.
Yep.
And a large part of this work is going to be ahead of time of us slashing and burning or whatever, conservatively pruning our current
Slashing and
content. But one of the things we do right now is we have, we post a lot of blog things and we use, or like news things. We used to use those to feed a newsletter, but over the years, because we now have Desiree, we create a custom newsletter. So we're creating these things over here. She's using these things over here to create a newsletter. So they just sit there on the website, like hundreds and hundreds of posts over since 2018, 2019 that are just sitting there. So we have a lot of stuff. A big portion of our website is the Library of Things. Each and everything on our Library of Things, we have like 86
Yep.
or something like that.
Yep.
Items is an actual individual page that we have to create, maintain, and then link to our website. That's going to go away and will be somehow integrated either using their particular Library of Things software or another type, Alphabet has a Library of Things module. We will use a third-party process to do that. that's one of the separate items that we've been looking at is that, I think this one will, but I know for a fact Assabet does, is instead of going into the catalog and then reserving it from there, you can actually from the module, basically check it out. You basically put it on hold and then you go pick it up. So it makes it much easier to manage. Yep. And it'll reduce a lot of staff time in managing. So yes, we have to get the picture, we have to create the page, we have to link it, we have to make sure all the, things work. And so it's a little complicated the way we manage it now. So that's almost, that's over 75 pages that we have to maintain. All of those go away.
Okay.
So.
Looking at Wilmington's library, are you guys going to get to keep your domain name?
Yes.
Good. Ours is down.
Do they do all the hosting?
Yes, and they do all the support. So that's a really big thing.
Very nice.
I can tell you right now for the price, it's just worth Michelle's time.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot more out of Michelle.
Yeah.
What's the comparison with their response time if something goes wrong with the site goes down compared to, you have Bluehost now, right? Something, did you say with Bluehost and?
That's a good question. That is a really good question, and I don't remember what the answer was, but I do know that I'm pretty sure you're dealing directly with Communico, whereas with Bluehost, I don't even know where they're located.
You'd be dealing with the agency.
Right.
Right. So one of the things with Bluehost is they assume a certain amount of knowledge.
Yep.
Right.
So if there's been a conflict with a plugin,
Yep.
they'll be like, oh, just, delete it and reinstall it again. And, where's the license key? And who has, when was it last updated? And then we're getting the credit card because it wasn't updated. And then the site crashes because we updated the wrong plugin because we're just not in the business of understand. I mean, we know it, but we're not experts in it. So one of the things that is part of the issue with having bells and whistles. So there are a few bells and whistles that we may not have, that we have now. But the important things are, really around the content organization. It has a reputation of being a fairly good content management system. And also it's built for libraries by librarians versus Civic Plus, which was really built for municipal. Like they're great. They're like, you can use our permitting software. Like, we don't do permits. You can use our recreation registration software. We don't do that. So this is very customized towards libraries, which we found helpful. Yep. So if all the ducks get in a row, I guess you don't need to vote on or anything, but I was just trying to sense out the board of how you would feel about entering into a contract PO this year. So it would be encumbered, it would be using probably state aid funds, which is normally what we would use for this year. Probably for it to be started this year and finalized in early FY25, hopefully maybe launching by the fall.
The sooner the better to get this started.
In our perspective, yes.
And less expensive if you do it now than if you wait for 6 months or so when prices are apt to be higher.
Yeah, I will say for a company like this, I won't speak for the next project. For a company like this, they are trying to get a lot more fourth quarter sales.
Yeah.
For, before July 1st.
Yeah.
So I think that is probably an incentive to keep the cost low. For work.
And it's 15,000 per year for a 3-year
No, it's
contract?
10,000 per year.
10,000.
5,000 upfront is the design fee.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't seem like an awful lot of money for this kind of stuff. Not that I know what this kind of stuff costs, but
No.
it doesn't seem like an extraordinary amount of money.
The average app is going to cost you between $65,000 and $7,000 a year.
Okay.
So, and that's, you can obviously add on bells and whistles to everything, so. The second project, unless there's any strong objections, this one is a little bit more money. We would definitely be using gifts. We will probably have enough cash and gifts to do this. But in case you forgot, we also added, we had put a bunch of money in trusts that we can either use or move back if we want, so that they would actually earn interest rather than just sitting in these gift accounts that have no interest. Do you want to talk about this or do you want me to?
I can talk about it. So we've been working with IT to look at getting both this room and the conference room upgraded where hybrid is built in, so it's plug and play. So right now, we have this. And that will go away. And when I'm saying this, we need to make sure that IT comes over and they set this up for us. We can't have outside organizations use it, and a lot more now want to have that hybrid option. So what we want to do is have basically, you come in and you have a little Zoom room on the wall, and you basically say, I'm going to be integrating with Zoom, or I'm going to be working with Microsoft Teams, and you press a button and it sets you up with it. And this part of this came up because IT had already been putting in place something at the police station and over at town hall, and they said, you're next, and we're going to give you some of that equipment. And so we worked with 3 different companies to get some proposals, and the third one is the one that we're probably going to go with. It's AVI SPL. They were the company that initially did the installation here. And what they're going to do is they're going to upgrade everything in here and take some of the older equipment that is still usable from here and move it into the conference room. They won't need to upgrade the majority of this equipment, but they'll make it so that you'll have the cameras, like right now we have the camera here, it'll be up on the wall.
Probably be close to this one, I think. It's gonna be, yep.
Yep. And
Speakers on the ceiling, I think these will be in the ceiling.
yep. Yeah, so it won't be like this. It's just going to make it much more seamless and usable. One of the new people who works in the town IT is very familiar with AV room setups, and this is the one that he really felt confident with. He felt like they were giving us the quotes that they gave us were very similar to what you would get if you were doing them just with the equipment itself. Like he went back and researched the equipment and seemed on the basically up and up. The one AVI SPL is also on the state bid list, which requires them also to be under a certain amount of money, and basically that's the one that they feel like we should go with. And from what I understand, once we choose to go with them, they had thought the installation would start in April, but that's obviously not going to happen, but it would probably be more like August. So
You think it's August?
I'm pretty sure it was August, either August or September.
We have to get in queue, basically. So
Yeah.
So the sooner that we get the PO, so like if I could have a purchase order cut tomorrow, we save our place in line.
This is definitely something that we have to do. It's becoming much more tedious with IT. And as I said, with the public, they really, so many of them now are really looking for that hybrid option.
One of the things to also remember is that 8 years ago, so actually probably more like 9 years ago, when we were going through the design process and installation for this building, the concept of video conferencing was massive, right? Because it meant you had to have a server here to do true, you had to blah, blah, blah. This whole thing of Zoom and Teams, that was just a little tiny glimmer. So this was never set up for true video conferencing. And now it's just a way of life and it's an expectation. Mm-hmm. The equipment costs have gone down, technology has changed greatly. But even having said that, even if we didn't upgrade that, there's a series of things that must be upgraded here. Ports that we use are all being destroyed. Mm-hmm. We talked about making sure we get commercial grade ports, although again, sometimes they just have to be replaced periodically. The way this was built, I think I referenced this, the way this here thing was put together, it was sort of like a package, so that in order to, once there's a bunch of racks of stuff in there, like once we start substituting one piece, we have to actually do the whole thing. And the way this has been, it's been deliberately put together as a module type thing, I guess, so that, I guess we were told that it's a module type thing, so that if the microphones need to be changed, we can do that and exchange it with, it doesn't have to be the same model, the same make, or that kind of thing. So that makes sense. I hope that makes sense to people with technology backgrounds. And as Michelle said, because they're on the state bid list, we did get 3 quotes. It was very transparent. The discount, the state bid list discount was clear. They do pay prevailing wage, so they tick all the boxes. So we feel very confident that way.
Michelle, you mentioned that it's already being done at the police station and town hall.
Yes.
What,
Street Center.
Oh, and-
Well, wasn't Street Center?
No, they're on the bid list. They put in a quote too.
Oh, okay.
So they put in 2 quotes, one for the,
Street.
Pleasant Street, and one for us, but they did do the police station and town hall.
And Town Hall.
this vendor?
Yes, yep,
Okay.
Yep.
So our IT is already familiar with,
they're very familiar with them. Yep,
okay.
yep.
I think Town Hall is already queued up. I mean, they've received their quote, I believe. Don't hold it.
No, I think town hall's all done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what happens with all this equipment? Can it be sold? Can it be reused? Can it be?
Yes, so some of the equipment is going to actually be used in the conference room. Some of it is just.
It's just
life.
it's obsolete.
Yep, yep.
It doesn't work.
Or it doesn't work. Yeah.
Let's not try to sell that.
No, and the biggest thing that we have in this room is that because we're constantly unplugging it and plugging it back in and moving it, and cords get frayed and they get pulled the
Yeah.
wrong way. So once things are mounted a little more permanently, it should extend the life a little bit.
Yep.
And I see all the cords over there. It's like, if you can make that simpler.
It would be so wonderful.
Somewhere right now, Tim, who's the person who set this up, somewhere he's listening and going like, oh, say yes, say yes.
Yep.
So those are the big things. I kind of went from saying, we're doing fine in our supplemental spending, and we have another $85,000 this year. But we do have these in reserves. We do have, between state aid and gifts, we do have this money, and it was something that we would have planned to do fully in FY '25. It's just going to come up a little, unless there's any objections.
Do you need a motion?
I don't think so. I think it's just as long as you guys feel that you're confident and aware of the
It's
financial.
already been proven, and the town likes this company,
Yes.
and we want to get in the lineup, so let's go for it. No dilly-dallying on this, let's get to it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So hopefully then my supplemental spending report for FY '25 that I give you in July will just be like, yeah, there's like one little thing we want to buy, because we're kind of doing a lot this year, a lot more than I expected. Just a quick list of our gifts, and then unless there's any other questions about financials for this month. I don't know, Mona, did you have a chance to look at the report? Megan works on it, and I think it's hopefully clearer when it comes to the trust. So if you have a financial document,
I'll check it out.
pass them on that barrier test.
What's the update on the walkers? Any updates? Did I just open up the camera?
No, you did not. You did not. Wicked, salty. No, I'm trying to think of something I could say. No. We are going to be getting a credit in our next maintenance thing. There are parts of the company that are in Europe, parts of the company in Canada, parts of the company in the United States. And it's a very long, we have a very nice, very detailed document, which I could probably share with you if you wanted to. But as of like March 25th, we were under the impression that something just needed to be re-imaged, and that the last time there was an update, some part of it got deleted. So they're going to re-image the technology, and they're just going to shoot and send us this new thing. It'll be great. Now to come find out, they have to replace a whole big thing. They actually have to replace the original screen, which has the CPU attached to it, and it's going to be all re-updated. And I was very specific to say, like, is this just us? Like, or is this happening with every other single walker? Maybe it's just us. I didn't get a clear answer, but we will be getting a credit in our next. It will be based on the number of months that we have been out of service. And sales rep something like, oh yeah, since February. I was like, oh no, this hasn't been working since November. So if you figure maybe we paid for July through October, but November until whenever it gets fixed, that's the number of months we'll get a credit for our next maintenance contract, because it's, and I have to say Biblioteca has had, it used to be 3M, it was 3M merged with Biblioteca, and they had the best reputation for customer service of all, like, that was the hardest part when we were doing this building, because the 3M Biblioteca bid for the AMH and the self-check were a lot more expensive, but they had incredible products and great service. They were outstanding for their service. So I don't know what the deal is with it. I'm very surprised at this point. And they know that. And they apparently groveled with Kath and Andrea at PLA, were very kind to them. Took them out to lunch or something.
Groveling is good.
If they're replacing the screen, is there a way to also address the other issue with the screen?
Well, I mean, we've asked them about that, and maybe that'll be part of it, but at this point, that's not the reason that they're replacing the screen, so I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still looking to see if there's a way that we could have something custom, manufactured, either through, some sort of 3D printing or, through a metal manufacturing, some lightweight metal, but it's tricky because we had a screen on there, but it was stiff, so that if you didn't need it, like at night, you still had to kind of go to get under it. So it needs to be flexible, it needs to move, it needs to be so that if someone's at a different height or in a wheelchair, that they can still see it.
Yeah.
So it does need to be fairly customized, so, but lightweight. It sounds like a really great project for maybe the RMHS robotics team to kind of take on. Yeah, some of those blooming scientists there, engineers. But everything else is going on. I won't spend any time talking about March 23rd. And just our typical update on programs and services. We're going around again and doing our dementia-friendly sessions. If they don't really call it training, but our goal is to have 100% of our staff who work at the front at any service desk have gone through a Dementia Friends session, at least within the last few years, to get refreshed on that. If you haven't been to see the AI display that's up in the studio, they're just like big, long posters. They come and we're going to, it is very interesting. You can spend some time looking at the artificial intelligence and the legacy of physiognomy. We're excited to be working with the 10 Million Names Project. Local history librarian Jocelyn Gold has been working on that. We've had a whole slew of people, not a whole slew, but a whole team of people that have worked or that are working on outreach with Solstice House, which is at 59 Middlesex. I want to say that this group, they met actually with some of the constituents there. They had a list of books and materials, resources that they want to have, everything from self-help to spirituality to programs on education and remember anything else. It was they were very specific. They're like, we want to learn how to.
Well, they wanted a singing bowl for the Library of Things, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, so they had some really great suggestions and they seem very involved and they want to. It's nice to be able to reach out to a community group, a group in our community like that. Our gun safety discussion, which was on March 4th, was very successful. I just want to note that we will be doing it annually. We got a lot of response. Some of the folks there actually wanted to see about bringing it to the schools. So if the schools do bring it on, we may not continue, but until then, we're the only game in town. But it was a very well-received program. It's one arm of the group does do a certain amount of advocacy and legislation, but they start the whole thing off by saying, this is not about legislation, this is not about advocacy, this is strictly about safety in 21st century living in our area. And they go over actual laws and they go over some, so it was a very good program. You can see about our local heroes. We are doing financial literacy this month. And strategic planning, just a quick note about strategic planning. We have a kickoff meeting this Friday, yeah, at 2:00. We're working with Maura Didi. I mentioned this before. So you guys we'll be reaching out to you and trying to juggle some times so that you can have input without violating open meeting law. So we'll have to split you all up to make sure that we get input from all the stakeholders. Working on staff development day and just some dates.
That got to be this spring.
Which,
Staff development.
no, that will be next fall.
Okay.
Next fall. I'd like to give you lots of advance warning. Tentatively, it might be Friday, October 4th, but it'll be a Friday in October. And that gets us to personnel. So just a shout out to Lisa. For those of you who know Lisa, she's a adult page car library technician. She has been with us for 20 years now. She was with us for 14 years before we were able to get her up to benefits. So we're just so pleased that she's been able to be with us. She's been helpful to us in a lot of ways. Originally, she did a lot of translation for us when we had our first Chinese collection. She helped us with advertising. She's also actually worked with the health department, doing some translation recently. So she's a very valuable employee. And also Lucy Lee, who started with us a year ago as a substitute, is now the part-time library associate position in borrower services. So they joined us a year ago and are working, I think, not only the Master's of Library Science, I think they're working on the children's literature master's degree. So we'll be discussing the tuition reimbursement policy with them soon. And then just some really fun professional development stuff. And that's it for director's report, unless there's anything else or any questions you have about programs, collections, or services.
Any other questions or follow-up? Okay, thank you for those detailed reports. Next thing on the agenda is approval of the March 11th, 2024 meeting minutes, a copy of which are in the packet. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or edits on the minutes?
Taking some time to read. None for me.
None for me.
Me.
Motion to accept meeting minutes as written in the packet.
Second.
And the seconded motion. Any other questions, comments?
I just do have a quick comment. One thing that was not actually physically included in the minutes, but will be included in the what we filed, are these slides, Albert slides,
Oh, right.
Rhea slides.
Is he presenting those tomorrow?
He's gonna have something different. He's actually just presenting, and then a consulting company will actually do the presentation. But we realized we hadn't put those into the minutes, but
Into the packet.
into the packet
They're
with the
included
minutes,
in
but there's nothing to correct. They are what they are. So those will be added to the whole. That's the only comment.
Okay, nothing further. We can do the roll call. Monette,
Approved.
Andrew Grimes,
Yes.
Andrew Gregory,
Yes.
Cappy,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. The minutes are approved. Next item is future agenda items. Do we have any?
I'll make it up as we go along.
We did, Pat, you and I exchanged a message about talking about reorganizing the board in June.
Yeah, I believe under the bylaws, that's every June.
Okay.
Double check if it's May. It's either May or June. My memory is June.
It's June.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything further, or do we move to item 10? Okay. Moving on from the future agenda items, we now will move for executive session.
Would you like me to read it, Pat, and then someone can make the motion?
Sure, if you have, I have it. Yeah, go ahead. Can I make the motion or no?
I think you can. Go ahead.
Well, why don't I move that we enter executive session in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Capital A, Section 21, for the purpose of discussing the deployment of security personnel or devices or strategies with respect thereto, and not to return to the regular session.
We need a second. Second.
We have a second to the motion. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Monette,
Yes.
Andrew Grimes,
Yes.
Andrew Gregory,
Yes.
Cappy,
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Sorry.
So we've approved the motion to enter executive session. Amy, is there anything we need to do on the?
Yes, we need to ask RCTV to withdraw from the meeting if they haven't.
And they're still in there. Should I remove them?
Yes, I should just remove them.